Battle Surge in Apex Legends, right? Pretty cool perk on Assault, and I want to go over what it does. First off, crack somebody's shields, you get faster reloads, faster slides, faster sprint time, but the most important thing is that it actually changes the rules of your slide. Normally you have to do slide for a split second, sprint for a split second before you can get a slide out, unless you have your heirloom out, in which case it's instant. But when you crack somebody's shields with the Battle Surge perk, all of a sudden, that's not true. You can instantly slide. So this allows you to close the gap on enemy people as well as run away. You can actually get 2 slides off. 1, 2, before the Battle Surge ends. So it's pretty good if you're trying to run away as well, because of the fact you can get those 2 slides in pretty quick. And obviously you want to switch to your heirloom to do that. But regardless, it's good for both retreating and closing distance. And closing distance is probably the one that you're going to want to use when engaging fights. There are a couple other scenarios we're going to go over where this is really good too, but the first off is engaging fights. Like if you're using like an R99 at a range more than say 15 meters, what is this? Yeah, 15 meters, then it gets a little dicey, right? Like even at 15 meters a lot of times, it's hard to secure a kill, like, you know, but you can typically crack somebody's shields, and if you can crack somebody's shields, you can get a lot closer. You can get right on top of them, and then the entire time that you're moving closer, you're hard to hit because you're fast moving and sliding, and they are getting easier to hit because they're getting closer and closer to you. So this is really good for something like the R99 specifically, because you need to be as close as you can with the R99. You can also use this to swap between weapons like the Peacekeeper. I don't know how effective that's going to be because I suck with shotguns, but you can see. But you get the idea. You know, it's something you can do if you really want to. But a couple other scenarios that it's useful in. Let's go over those. So you can close the distance, like I said, right? And that'll allow you to really increase the effectiveness of things like SMGs. But it will also allow you to increase the effectiveness of things like assault rifles. Assault rifles are not something you typically want to use up close, right? But what you can do after you crack somebody's shields, I wouldn't necessarily say you should slide into them, but you can slide to the side and use it as a juke. The biggest problem with assault rifles is that they have really shitty hipfire compared to something like the SMGs. And so if you're, you know, not within the hipfire range of like 5 meters, then you typically don't want to be taking the fight with an assault rifle because that means you have to ADS. And ADSing makes you exceedingly slow. Somebody who's fighting you with an SMG can either hipfire you to death and be really mobile and get on top of you, or they can ADS you, and even the ADS speed of SMGs is pretty quick. It's not a fight you want to take. You're an easy target, they're not. That's the bottom line. Battle Surge can change that. By cracking someone's shields, not running into the box, by cracking someone's shields, you can make yourself very difficult to hit. So that's the gist of it, right? You can move faster, right? You can make the assault rifles really effective and turn fights around that you would have a hard time winning otherwise. You can make SMGs even more effective than they currently are. And then you can also do things like, let's say you're losing a fight. Let's say you're down health in a fight, right? The juke that I just showed you with the R301 is perfect, right? But you don't necessarily have to go to the side of them. If you're up close fighting somebody, this is like a scary range to be at right here, right? Even with an SMG, because you just never know. Like, are you going to turn left? Am I going to turn left? Which one of us is going to make the move? And if you change directions, am I going to miss shots or are you going to miss shots? It's a coin toss a lot of the times because it's just hard to predict. And mistakes up close are extremely punishing. Not maintaining damage point blank can be the difference between you dying in that split second that you're shooting. So you want to get out of this range, right? Typically, with the heirloom slide, you could try and get away, but it's not particularly great. What you can do then instead is just use the Battle Surge slide, where you don't have to worry about the weapon draw time, to create some distance. Because shooting somebody at 5 meters is significantly easier to stay on target than it is to shoot somebody and stay on target at 1 meter away, right? So you can use the Battle Surge to create the distance that you want. And this is going to do a couple of things. First off, you're going to create the distance. It's going to make you able to hit them. And during the slide, you're going to know where to look. Which means if you're here, and you don't suck like me, during the slide, you're going to know where to aim and where to shoot. Whereas they're not even going to know the slide's coming. So chances are the moment that you slide is the moment they start missing. And if you can hit the shots while sliding that you need to, you can potentially win that fight even if you're down in health. It can help you pull a total Uno reversal that you normally would not be able to. So that's something that is really useful in the Battle Surge perk. The next thing I want to talk about is the ability for you to just continue to reload mid-fight. Like, let's say I've shot and missed because I suck, and I now have 8 bullets. It's obviously not enough bullets to kill somebody, right? But it is potentially enough to crack their shields. If it's enough to crack their shields, you might be in business. You might be able to use that slide as an opening for them to miss long enough for you to get the reload off. Now, I should say that while this is effective, it is most effective if you don't completely empty your magazine. Instead, it is more effective if you don't empty it all the way and pop the reload, because there's a huge difference in the reload speed of pretty much any weapon fully empty versus not fully empty, or even having 1 bullet in the magazine. Let me show you. Regular reload, not too bad on the R9. Full reload. Takes like an extra half second. That extra half second can definitely cost you your life in a game where fights happen in the blink of an eye. So yeah, you can definitely use this to dodge, juke, and get a reload off mid-fight. That is not something you can do with other characters, and that is extremely powerful, and it allows you to steal kills, essentially. Rob people of kills that are rightfully theirs otherwise. And then the last thing that Battle Surge is amazing for, primarily, is in the way that you use it in team fights. It's going to end up happening whether you intend for it or not. It's just a positive side effect, even if you're not intentionally doing this. But the most important thing in team fights in Apex is staying engaged with your enemy. If you're engaging multiple enemies, right, and you've got here to your left, here to your right, here everywhere, right, you need, even if you're trying to isolate one of them so you don't take fire from the other, the most important thing is that your gun is being shot. If you're not shooting your gun, they're not going to pay attention to you. And when they're not paying attention to you, they're paying attention to your teammates. And so, far too often, the difference between good teams and bad teams in Apex isn't who has the better aim, doesn't who has the better weapons. It's who has the better positional advantage and which teams are staying engaged in the fight the longest, right? You can stay engaged in the fight longer than anybody else because of the fact that you can just continually fire your gun and reload. You're going to be very difficult to ignore if you're playing the Assault Legend. You can crack shield after shield after shield, and as long as you're cracking shields, it doesn't take you very long to reload, and that means that you're going to be able to stay in the fight. Whereas normally, I could crack a shield. Oh, gotta reload. There's a huge delay in between, right? The perk allows you to just stay in the fight more often. And that's something you should be doing. You should always just be firing your gun. Sometimes it is more beneficial for you to just fire your gun than to just stay hidden, even if you don't have the health to fight. And the reason for that is, if I'm the guy on the left, if I'm standing up here, and I'm seeing the guy behind the box in cover shoot, if my bullets are going to the left, I cannot see whether or not they're hitting my teammates. I have no idea. So instead, I'm just going to keep looking. It's going to keep me fixated on him because it makes me think that it's time to kill this guy. It's time to focus on this guy. It's time to pay attention to this person right here, just because he's shooting the gun. And you will be able to shoot your gun more than anybody else if you have the Battle Surge perk active. You'll be able to just... Oh. And then even if, again, if I'm just doing this, this keeps them focused on me. And that can buy my teammate over here time to heal. That can buy my teammate over there time to run away. And then that can buy time for them to start shooting. And once they start shooting, then I can pop my heals. It can stall a crazy amount. May not sound like a lot. Trust me. You play this game enough, you'll understand why that's important. So yeah, that's what Battle Surge can do, and that's why it is extremely powerful. I hope you guys found these tips helpful, and I'm going to continue to post Apex videos when I feel like I learned something really, really influential. So, see ya.